Well, each week, a group of insiders joins me to offer perspective on some of the week's top stories. This week, sounding off on a rather stunning turn of events for the Indianapolis Colts. We've reached the midpoint of the Indiana General Assembly, and Tenants announced for the state's first Internet of Things lab in Fishers. Our insiders this week, Bose Public Affairs Group Principal Roger Harvey. Also, Short Strategy Group Chairman and CEO Frank Short, and Fagery Baker Daniels Director Jennifer Hollowell. And welcome one and all to the insiders. We'll start with the Colts. Frank, you said you wanted to lead off. Everybody's got something to weigh in on regarding the Colts, but Josh McDaniels with the big back out. He's getting backlash times 10, very much deserved. Your read on everything as you look at what happened.
Well, obviously, he couldn't be trusted. He's from New England. But I think time will show when when we get our new coach in, we'll progress. And we're holding up the Lombardi Trophy. No one will remember Coach Josh McDoofus. So
you like that, McDoofus?
I like it. Yeah, that's where he's going to be in the record books for the Colts.
These days, everyone's always pointing somewhere for blame. Is there any blame? People talk about the Colts being embarrassed. I mean, it looked like the Colts went through all the proper procedures. Didn't have a signed deal.
Didn't have a signed deal. We were talking about this off camera. Until I have a client sign a contract, I'm not sure I tell people I have a client. But I think it was an issue that it appears the Colts have done everything right. The whole walk up to the Super Bowl, followed all the NFL rules. No one's claimed they violated any rules. The people that are in the box in this thing, besides the Colts fans, are those assistant coaches that gave up jobs, moved their families, took jobs here. Right. Now, the new coach is coming. It's kind of like if you're in college and a new coach comes. Are you going to play? Are you going to do it? Yeah. So, there's a lot of collateral damage here. Yeah. So this guy can make more money and stay in New England and go 0-16 next year.
One of these years, yeah. Jennifer, your take. This happens from time to time in the business world, obviously, but in a high-profile situation like this, it makes headlines. As you saw things unfold, what was your take?
Well, I was shocked, as was everyone. But, I mean, it's a horrible way to handle a business decision, and he did have time to sort through this. As Frank said, I feel really badly for the assistant coaches and people that he impacted in this. The effect is a lot bigger than even just him or just our team. And so, you look to Coach Dungy, who has said a lot about it and called it inexcusable and indefensible. And, I think that's what everyone believes. Yeah,
he was very strong. Yeah. You're right in his commentary. Roger, as you look at it, and where the Colts go from here, and how the Colts have handled it. I mean, at Chris Ballard's news conference, he came out and, I thought he did a great job and actually pointed to himself. He said, it's on me, whatever blame there is. Where the Colts go from here?
Yeah, a couple things on that. I agree with you 100%. In my world of, crisis communications, you need to get out as quickly as you can when things like this happen. And I think Chris did a terrific job. He came across as very credible and authentic. And really, there's two things I think he was trying to accomplish. Number one is a sense of calm, and that we as an organization are moving forward and we're going to find the best person and the best fit. I thought he handled that part of the questioning very well. And then the second part really was a message that I think he was trying to get across to the fan base. Because at the end of the day, the season ticket holders and those fans are the ones that are going to be critically important once that season starts. And I think that's what he was trying to get across to them, that, look, we've got this under control. Yes, this was a hiccup that we did not anticipate, but we're going to move forward. We're going to find the right coach for us. And he was also very optimistic about Andrew Luck. And I think the fans responded to the genuineness that Chris came across with in that news conference, and also what I viewed as an upbeat report, if you will, that he thinks Andrew's going to be back.
And he said the rivalry is back on.
Right.
Which I thought was great.
New England fans didn't like that.
Yeah. One more question in terms of timing, because obviously there needs to be a sense of urgency. The combine's coming up, the draft, all those things. We don't have a head coach. How much pressure is on the Colts organization to get this right quickly?
Well, I know they definitely want to get it right, and there's probably a lot of pressure they're putting on themselves internally, but I don't know that it has to be as quick as, I do agree with Chris. I think, we're in such a instant gratification society that, everything's got to be buttoned up and, within an hour, like an NCIS, crime show. And the fact of the matter is they do have time. I mean, the combine is still several weeks away, and they've got these other coaches in that he says they're going to take care of those coaches, and so there's things they can do and work on the draft. And I think they're going to do their best just to find the right person.
Yeah. Indiana State House, the Indiana General Assembly, short session at the midpoint now. Jennifer, as you look at what has happened or not happened, what your take on activity at the State House?
Well, I mean, I think it's encouraging. It's been fairly, I guess, some of the Democrats called it a snoozer or yawning. But frankly, I think that Hoosiers like a more limited approach, and it's not so bad that we don't have a lot of controversy happening at the State House. But a couple of big things are coming out. One, it's looking like Sunday sales for alcohol is going to happen. A lot of progress made in workforce development, which is one of Governor Holcomb's #1 priorities, something he's been very focused on, and also Speaker Brian Bosma has been very focused on it. I think that it's something that's going to take a couple of years to get right, but right now we have, I think, 30-some workforce development type programs in 9 agencies, and so they're looking at doing an overhaul and see what's effective and what's not, and how we reshape that so that we're training people for the jobs of the future. So.
Frank, surprised that the smoking bill, which would have increased the minimum age from 18 to 21, there was a tax that was stripped out, but there was a tax associated with it too, that it went down, it failed. A lot of business, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, a lot of businesses were behind it, were supporting it.
And I think that's a tough issue, as someone, my personal take on it is, if I'm going to ask an 18-year-old to go to Iraq and put his life on the line for his country, and we ask him to vote and be involved in it, they should be able to smoke a cigarette. Now, I understand the health implications, and I've done a lot of work over the years for, health organizations, but, it's a tough issue, and, there's a lot of people that feel that's a right, not as much as Second Amendment rights, but, it's a tough issue.
Moving forward, we had a number of layoff announcements actually this week. Jeff Boat in Southeast Indiana with a big layoffs. IPL here in Central Indiana also announced some layoffs. And Carson's, the retailer, announced that about 300 people would be affected here in Indiana at the 5 store closings. Roger, the Carson's closing, though, another sidebar to that is Circle Center, the mall in downtown Indianapolis, which has struggled, which has had its challenges for a number of years. Another store going out of there. What's next, in your view? In terms of Circle Center and what that becomes?
I think what you're likely going to see is Simon property getting creative on finding some type of a mixed-use solution there. I mean, the good news is that Carson's going out is not a result of a decaying downtown and not enough people downtown. The reality is that downtown is continuing to thrive. You look at the statistics that come out from downtown Indy and also Visit Indy on the convention business. There are a lot of people coming to Indianapolis, and the city's continuing to grow. So we've got the people. It's just trying to figure out what's the best use that we can maximize getting those people in and using those businesses that'll take that place.
Your take, Jennifer, on that, retail's a tough business, obviously, these days, and the Carson closing's another example.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I look at it also as an opportunity for Mayor Hogsett and his administration working with Simon to figure out what is the next chapter. When the mall came in, it was a catalyst for a lot of things, and but times evolved, and so I think that this gives us an opportunity to see what we do next, whether it's mixed use or something else.
Roger, I want to get to you on the Indiana IoT Lab, Internet of Things Lab in Fishers, opening next month, March 21. Announced 50 members, Indiana University, Clear Object, Rook Security, some others. Your take on that? A big development.
It definitely is, and I think a lot of credit should go to the mayor up there, Mayor Fadness, and the folks up in Fishers. And when you look at that, and as that takes off, and potentially you're going to see these labs pop up in other parts of the state. And I think big picture, it just gives you another example of how mayors all over the state are looking to be very creative in how to bring in economic development opportunities into their communities.
Yeah, very good. As we wrap up, Frank, we lost a really good guy, Andy PAINE, a longtime banking executive here in Indianapolis and Central Indiana, community leader, passed away at the age of 80. And he truly was a great guy and someone who was a real difference maker.
Yeah, I think he did a lot for this town, a lot for the banking industry. He's part of that class of Larry Conrad, Ray Humke, those leaders that were a generation before us are going one by one. Yeah. Andre Lacey recently, and Jim Dore, the list goes on and on. So hopefully they've taught us enough while they were here, so the next group can step up. But Andy Payne will be missed. He was a great guy.
Well said. Frank Short, also Jennifer Hollowell and Roger Harvey. Thank you both very much. Thank you all very much, and we'll be right back after this.